So I decided to pull off at a rest area to finish up this video for today because the phone was falling off of the holder and too many distractions. Hopefully I'm putting some of you at ease that do not like to watch my videos when I'm driving. I feel better too now. And the lighting is better. Beautiful rest area here in Michigan. I'm only about, 75 miles down the road, but that's okay. I'm enjoying the journey. Always emphasize journey. All right, I did forget one pro of being there, but it kind of didn't line up with just the day in and day out, but it kind of did too, is the owner only ever had me trim one time. He came over with his riding mower, and a couple times I text him, hey, if you need anything, I'm here, I'm glad to help. You know, I figured it would be a learning experience, see how much I could do. And he came over one day, unexpected. I was there, so it was definitely a godsend. And I'm like, hey, what can I do? And he's like, well, if you want to get the trimmer out of the shed there, it wasn't really a shed, but out of the cabin, and I think he called it a cabin, and trim behind me, then okay. So probably some of you were concerned that I would be like once a week having a crazy mow with a push mower and stuff, and that wasn't the case at all. So definitely a pro, but I was ready and willing to keep that in the pros list because it was going to give me an opportunity to get stronger and to see what I wanted to do. So that's why I kind of forgot it, but I figured I'd address it with you anyways. So on to the job. Well, I initially talked to you a couple times, I think, that I was going to be working in the park store as well as housekeeping, cleaning cabins. It ended up after like 2 weeks, another 2 weeks issue, that they were overstaffed. And it came up on like the 4th of July, and she was like, you know what, Linda, I know you noticed that you're not on the schedule, because she would text us the schedule, and she told me why. And she said, when Ed, who's one of the owners, decides what days he wants you in housekeeping, we'll work with that. And it just fell apart. And what a blessing. That was a pro. Because working inside a store is way different than working outside in cabins and in nature. Not to mention the hours. I knew going in, okay, a little bit of flexibility. Some nights I'll work till 10, and then other times I'll work 8 to 2, and I'll get off early, and that'll be nice too. But all in all, the hours were, in those 2 weeks, were all over the board. Everybody wants early hours, of course, always. And I was getting some later hours. Yes, we got free pizza if it was over like 4 hours, and we got a free ice cream every day. I could put that in the cons list. But yeah, it was a pro at first. But too much of a good thing. And they just had so many people in there, a lot of young people, whereas more in housekeeping was a few my age, some young ones too, some really nice young people I love to work with. But we're talking like in their 30s young, where in the store they were like 18, 20 years old. That's a different ball game. So I was glad to get out of the store because I was also finding out that I wasn't going to get 48 hours a week. I had some store shifts that were only 4 hours, and it's not like I could jump into housekeeping after that because they were already into their day cleaning cabins, and so my day was done, and I had time on my hands. I chose to work a lot. I told you already why, and I knew that I had certain things that I wanted to go do, and that those things were accomplished as well. Because I've been to Michigan before. I've seen pictured rocks. I've seen the sand dunes. I've been way up north towards Lake Superior and Canada. So this time around was a little different, and I loved the campground. All right, so I worked every day from 9 to 5:30, a set schedule. There is just nothing like a set schedule. And I tend to forget that sometimes because in the name of flexibility. But the time flew by every day. I mean, we had to have our, what they call re-rents done by 3 o'clock. So some people had already moved out of their cabin, checked out by 9 o'clock, and we hit the ground running. And we had a van that we traveled around in with all of our supplies. I've shown you that all in previous videos. You'll have to go back to see what it is that I did in housekeeping if you're interested or curious. But I also had 2-in-1 jobs. Sometimes we would finish all of our cabins early. Like say there would be a week where, I don't know, there was 3 pairs of people and then a couple of us singles. And we only had 10 cabins. Well, we were done way before 3 o'clock. So now what to do? What to do? Well, it turns out that I became like a professional picker. One of the maintenance guys says, oh, we've got security beach watch or something. And I was like, yeah, that's my title, beach watch. But up and down Lake Huron and the lawn, again, lots of shorts on these topics, showing you the beautiful campground. And walking along the sandy beach and picking up people's left behinds, stuff that blows around, the butts, annoying, but hey, I did that anywhere from like 2 hours in a day to my last day working, I picked all day. I asked Randy, who was another one of the supervisors for us housekeepers, not an owner, but a supervisor there, if I could come in at 8 o'clock. And he says, and you punch out at 4:30. And I was like, yep, that's what I'm going to do. And he said, yeah, that's fine. Because I knew we only had like 6 cabins that day. And there was plenty of people to do them. So that was a beautiful thing. I picked all day and just took my time and did a thorough job. And felt like I left the campsite better than I found it. But that picking is a daily duty. Really. And they do have official pickers that go around and clean out all the fire pits. Oh my gosh, they work hard in all kinds of weather outdoors. But I got my steps in every day. When I was cleaning cabins, it would average anywhere from 2 miles up to 5 miles of steps. You know, not consistent, but I always had my phone on me, so I tracked the steps. But on days like when I picked after I house cleaned, you know, I was getting in anywhere from 5 to my last day, just picking, I got in 7 miles. And that felt really good. Like this felt like a super healthy job. Unlike working in the Big W or elsewhere where you stand all day long in one position if you're being a cashier, not when I was an online grocery picker. But that was hard too in a different way. Pushing that cart was really cumbersome. But I digress something. Anyways, I felt like this housekeeping job was like the most healthy, fun job ever. And working solo. I ended up working solo. When I first started out, I had somebody that I had been working with at the motel. Go back and watch the videos when I first started. And then I worked with a guy for like a week, and then he was taken down to the motel. So I was no longer needed at the motel. And then it became like stand there and like wonder who you're going to work with all day. Like, who's going to pick me? Or who am I going to pick? Or who wants to work alone? I got into a really good routine as a solo, and I worked hard. I must say, no bragging. I'm a hard worker. I get that from my mama and from my daddy. They were hard workers, and I have a work ethic. That's all I'm going to say on that. But it was great. A couple times throughout, I ended up where I would work with somebody, and I'm like, why don't I do this more often? And then I would always go back to the pros of working by myself. Being as that I'm looking at notes, I took lunch breaks when I wanted to. I took my 10-minute breaks when I wanted to. I was able to go at the pace that I wanted to. Didn't have to, like when I would work with somebody, okay, you want to do the bathroom this time? I did the bathroom last time. I mean, not quite like that. But you know, working with other 60-year-old women, they've got their ways of doing things, and they want to do things a certain way, and they want to go to lunch at 12:30. And most days I went to lunch after 3 o'clock. I like to get all my work done and then take a break. So that's just who I am. And I always, you know, I create momentum for myself. And there was times when I would go in and I would do the kitchen first, and then I would do the bathroom last, and then I would switch it up. And I just made fun of it, and the solitude, the coming and going in a peaceful manner. Other than, you know, being an entrepreneur, of course you work by yourself unless you have employees, which I never have. But I've never had a part-time side job or full-time side job that I wasn't working with a lot of people, and that you have to adjust to personalities. I'm a team player, but I like to work solo. And so that turned out to be a real positive for me. So the biggest thing, working outdoors in a beautiful campsite, family owned, treated very well. We had potlucks. We had a potluck every month. They bought us lunch one day from one of the food trucks. They provided donuts and coffee for us one morning. I mean, just really thoughtful things throughout the season, and it just made it fun. And we weren't micromanaged. They knew it was such a great team of housekeepers. They knew we were getting the job done. And, you know, if we were taking a little extra for lunch, this is a seasonal job. This is not like you're on this serious time clock. We never had to punch out for lunch and punch back in. It was just a trusting thing, and you're getting your work done, and you're doing your job, and you're taking care of business. Like we would dust the swings and cobwebs from the lights and find things to do. On days, you know, I could say that was a con. It was, you know, okay, now what am I going to do after this amount of time? But I really turned it into a positive by getting steps in and working through it. So with all of that, what were the cons? What were the serious cons of this job? Once again, I'll just cut to the chase. There were no cons. Would I do it again? Maybe in a couple years. Like, never say never. Like, I would come back and do this again. But my intention as I get older is to go to new places and work at different places. I have a list. I've worked in Washington, Montana, Utah, Florida. Yeah, worked at, when I was saving money for land and I thought it was going to be in Tennessee, I worked in Florida at Walmart, and now I have Michigan to the list. And I already have sights on a new state for next summer. I don't know. As long as you keep watching me and keep following on my journey, you'll find out in due time. So I'm going to just share a couple fun things to end this video. Picking up little miscellaneous things along the way. One of the housekeepers is making some kind of collage of things that she found in the cabins, like little mini things that we found under the mattresses or on the floor. And she's going to make little collages for her, like, really young grandkids. And I thought, what a fun thing that would be to do. So I've got these like this little twirly thing, this little flower here. I don't know if you can see, there's a little cup in here, a little teacup, some acorns, this little clip-on metal piece. And I'm an artsy fartsy kind of girl. My daughter named me that one time. Mom, you're artsy fartsy. And that just really stuck. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. But here's one of the happies that I found inside a cabin. Now, anytime something was of real, like, some really value, we would turn it into the office. But if it was something like this, they're not going to make a phone call. Hey, you left your little stuffed animal inside here. Do you want it? So this is going to hang somewhere, I think, in Happy Haven. I'm just not sure where. And yeah, there were some treasures, definitely. Paper towels were left behind, toilet paper that was not ours left behind, plastic garbage bags that were not ours, a refrigerator full of food that I shared with a couple other employees. Oh my gosh, that was exciting. And I got to use one of my coworkers' refrigerators for a couple days. She kept my stuff cold for me. All kinds of hand soap, shampoo, just randoms left behind. I think I even found, like, in change, probably over $5, which paid for a breakfast sandwich. A couple tips along the way, that really added up. Not too many tips, just a couple, but boy, they were nice surprises left in the cabins. But I'm going to leave you with this, guys. The last day that I was picking, I'm finding randoms. I'm finding all kinds, like just little, I'm picking up some mini pine cones. I have some feathers from the birds. I have no idea. I found like a silver bolt that came off of something. I've picked up sand shovels that were left behind. I may spray paint them and make some kind of artsy thing for outside, reminding me of the beach. But I went over to a bench and looked down, and lo and behold, I felt like this was truly a sign, to share salvation with other people. Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and we must repent and believe. He rose 3 days later from the grave. He was God. And he died. He took the penalty for all of our sins so that we may live forever in heaven with him. And I've been asking God, I want to be more of a witness these last days that we're living in. I want to be a witness to other people. Do you know Jesus? And if so, how? How do you know him? And share with people my faith. Whether I make enemies or not, it doesn't matter, because I want to see you in heaven. And you don't get to heaven by your good works, but you get to heaven by the cross. So this is my reminder. And as I kept picking, I went a little bit further down and I saw one of these crosses on one of the swings. So somebody has made these crosses as their witness for people to pick up and to remind them this is all that really matters. I love this. I'm going to put it on my dashboard, and so when I'm out and about, that I'll get more bolder for Christ and telling people, just asking them the question, do you know Jesus? I love you guys. I wish for you blessings in your day and joy in your journey, however that looks for you. I hope you enjoyed this pros and cons and a recap of what I did this summer. It was a beautiful, beautiful season that I will never forget. It'll bring me great memories. I've taken hundreds of pictures and made new friends and have new experiences, new exploring that'll last me for however long God has me on this earth. I love you.